and our nearest neighbours in Europe, particularly to help small businesses who have been tied up in red tape since the botched Brexit deal that the previous government did. Right, got time for a couple of more questions. Lady there in the second row.
Thank you, Chancellor. Jessica Frank-Hughes from City AM. The Office for Budget Responsibility has said the government's Trade Employment Rights Bill is likely to have net negative economic impacts on employment, prices and productivity. Are you concerned the ABR might downgrade the UK's growth forecast based on the bill? And what do you say to those who warn this goes against your efforts to get more people into jobs?
As we grow the economy, we want ordinary working people to benefit, and that's why we are banning exploitative zero-hour contracts, fire and rehire, and also it's why we are increasing the national living wage, because we want to incentivise people to go into work and for that work to offer the security and dignity that should come from employment. Now, the OBR haven't put anything in their forecast today about the Employment Rights Bill because it's still working its way through Parliament, but we're confident that it will result in ordinary working people having more money in their pockets, but also having the security to spend that money because they don't have to worry from week to week whether they'll be in work or how many hours they'll get. Lady there.
Harriet Line, Daily Mail. Your welfare cuts will plunge 250,000 people into relative poverty, but at the same time you've accepted lavish freebies, including £600 tickets in a VIP box to watch Sabrina Carpenter. Do you regret accepting those tickets, and will you repay the money?
The 250,000 people is based on absolutely no one going into work who was previously out of work, and yet we're putting £1 billion in for targeted employment support to get people back to work. So I'm confident that our plans, far from increasing poverty, will actually result in more people having fulfilling work, paying a decent wage to lift themselves and their families out of poverty. Now, it may come as a surprise to some of you that I'm not personally a huge Sabrina Carpenter fan, being a 46-year-old woman, but a member of my family did want to go and see that concert. I'm not in a position now that I can easily just go and sit in a concert, and some of the things that I might have been able to do in my everyday life in the past are not so easy now. And so I had advice that it would be better to be in a box. The owners of the O2 had a box, tickets that are not available to buy, and they said that I could go in there, and that was better for security reasons. I do recognise that people think that that's a bit odd, but that's the reason why I did that, rather than just being in normal seats, which, to be honest, for me and my family would have been a lot nicer and a lot easier. Right. Yeah, gentleman there. There's no mics, you just stand up.
Oh, sorry. Emilio from Politico.
So you're so unused to being asked, you don't even know.
No, I don't know how these things work. Thank you. Yesterday, the government gave planning approval for the Lower Thames crossing. I was reading about a Chinese company that's building a massive underwater tunnel in just over a year. They've done the bit under the water already in about 110 days. Since you want to build stuff faster and get growth faster, why don't we ask these Chinese guys to come along and show us how it's done?
I don't think it's the fact that it's a Chinese company. I think it's probably more to do with the fact that they don't have such onerous rules around bats and newts and frogs or whatever. And so that's why we're reforming our planning system to make it easier to build in Britain. Now, that Lower Thames crossing, as I said in my speech in January, I do want private finance to help build that. But the best way we can get it build is to back the builders, not the blockers, and get through that bureaucracy that currently holds back far too much investment, whether it is transport, energy or indeed housing. I'll just take maybe one more question. Yeah.
Hi, Natasha Clark from LBC. Yesterday, the Deputy Prime Minister told LBC that she thought taxation was at a sweet spot. Do you agree with that?
Well, look, we had to make difficult decisions in the budget last year, including increasing taxes on some of the wealthiest and also asking businesses to pay more in tax. That was necessary to put our public finances back on a firm footing, and also to properly fund our public services. I think the most important thing is that when people pay money in tax, that we treat it with the respect that we would treat our own money. And for too long, that hasn't happened, whether it is COVID contracts that went to friends and donors of the Conservative Party, whether that was a bloated bureaucracy, quangos getting out of control. And I'm determined that when we ask people to pay tax to fund public services, it actually goes to people's priorities. More money in the NHS, more money in our schools, and crucially in the changed world that we face today, more money in our defence. Thank you very much.